Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder. Today, Allegro Merger Corp just filed an 8, and I am seeing some interesting details about their merger plans. Quick note, this is not financial advice, just my take on public filings for educational purposes. This filing is all about pushing forward a big merger deal, and it shows how they are getting the support they need from warrant holders. Alright, let us dive into what is going on with Allegro Merger Corp. This is an 8K filing, which essentially means something important and unexpected happened. In this case, it is all about their ongoing merger with SEEQC Inc. The key date here is the 22nd of April 2026, but it is looking back to the 16th of January 2026, when the original plan for this merger was laid out. So, what is new on the 22nd of April? It is an update on getting the people who hold Allegro warrants, which are like options to buy stock, on board with the deal. Basically, the company Allegro had already agreed to merge with SEEQC Inc. Allegro will merge into a company that SEEQC created called SEEQC Merger Sub. After the merger, Allegro will become a wholly owned part of SEEQC. The people who owned Allegro will then own a piece of SEEQC. Think of it as Allegro is being absorbed into SEEQC. Now, the really interesting part of this filing is about what are called warrants. Allegro had warrants out there, and to make this merger work smoothly, they needed the people holding about 48.5% of these warrants to agree to a change. This agreement is called the Allegro Warrant Support Agreement. What exactly did they agree to? Well, they agreed to vote their warrants in favor of changing them. This change means that when the merger closes, these warrants will automatically turn into something much smaller. Instead of potentially getting a full share of Allegro stock, they will now get just 1/10 of one share of SEEQC common stock. This is a pretty significant change in the value or potential value of these warrants, and it tells us that the warrant holders who agreed are supportive of the SEEQC transaction. Here is a key detail for you. For this change to happen, they need 65% of all the Allegro warrants to agree. With about 48.5% already on board through these support agreements, they are still short of that 65% threshold. This means they still need to convince more warrant holders, or perhaps the remaining warrants are held by people who are not willing to change their terms. This is a point to watch, because if they do not get that 65% approval, this specific part of the merger plan cannot go through as intended. The filing also gives us a heads up on the next steps for CTC. They are planning to file something called a registration statement on Form S-4 with the Securities and Exchange Commission. This is a big document that will include a prospectus. A prospectus is basically a detailed brochure about the new securities, or stocks, that will be issued as part of this merger. It will explain everything investors need to know about the deal and the combined company. They are really emphasizing that shareholders and investors of Allegro should pay close attention to these documents once they are available. This is standard practice, but it signals they expect this S-4 filing to contain crucial information that will influence how people see the deal. Now, a bit of legal stuff. This filing and the documents mentioned are not trying to get you to vote a certain way on your shares or to approve the deal right now. It is more of an update and a step in the process. They are not asking for your proxy, which is basically your permission to vote your shares for you. Like most company filings, this one includes forward-looking statements. These are statements about what the company expects to happen in the future. They use words like believe, expect, anticipate, plan, and will likely result. It is important to remember that these are just expectations. The actual results could be very different due to various risks and uncertainties. One of the biggest risks they talk about, and it is pretty straightforward, is that the merger might not happen. It could be delayed, or it might not be completed at all. This is a common risk in any merger, especially if there are approvals needed or if market conditions change. They also mention the risk that the parties involved might not meet the conditions required to finish the merger. This could include not getting shareholder approvals or not securing things like additional funding, which is often referred to as a PIPE deal. A PIPE, or private investment in public equity, is when investors buy stock directly from a public company, often to help fund a transaction like a merger. Another risk they are highlighting is the possibility of legal challenges. After a merger is announced, it is not uncommon for lawsuits to pop up, sometimes from shareholders or other parties who feel they have been wronged. These legal battles can cause delays and can be very costly. They are also concerned about SEEQC being able to get its stock listed on a major stock exchange after the merger is complete, and importantly, that it stays listed. If a company's stock cannot be traded on an exchange like NASDAQ or the New York Stock Exchange, it becomes very difficult for investors to buy or sell shares, which can really hurt the stock price. Finally, let us look at the exhibits. The most important one here is Exhibit 10.1, which is the form of warrant support agreement. This is the actual document that outlines the terms of the agreement with the warrant holders. It is incorporated by reference, meaning the details of that agreement are considered part of this filing. So what is the big picture here? Allegro is moving forward with its merger. With SEEQC, they have secured significant support from warrant holders, which is a positive step, but they still need more support to meet the required threshold for changing the warrants. The company is also warning about the usual risks involved in such a deal, including potential delays, failure to meet conditions, and legal challenges. The next big event to watch for will be the filing of the S-4 registration statement, which will give us a much clearer picture of the combined company and the terms of the securities being issued. What I am actually looking for is whether they can get past that 65% warrant approval threshold. That is a critical hurdle for this specific part of the deal. Oh, and the research tools I actually use are linked in the description. They help keep this channel going. That is my take. Stay decoded. If this analysis was valuable, hitting that like button really helps. And subscribe for more deep dives. Don't forget to check out the Discord in the description.